Welcome back. And in a big move against the central government's decision to remove several chapters from the NCERT textbook, the Kerala government has decided to restore them. Now, the textbooks will cover and include the chapters on assassination of Mahatma Gandhi and the Gujarat riots, amongst other portions that had been deleted from the NCERT history textbooks. The reason given for dropping these lessons was that it was quote-unquote overlapping and irrelevant. The revised school curriculum for Kerala students will be introduced from September. The left parties claim that it is reinstating history for the youth of Kerala, which has been backed by the Congress party. BJP has called the move mere diversion from the allegations of corruptions against the state government. The question remains, is education once again a battle between the left and the right? History is often contested, and in this case, it's the school curriculum that has been contested between the centre and the state, but not without its history. Our focus.
ഒഴിവാക്കപ്പെട്ട വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട പാഠഭാഗങ്ങളുണ്ട്. ചരിത്രം, എക്കണോമിക്സ്, സയൻസ് തുടങ്ങിയവരുടെ തന്നെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് എത്തിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നില്ല. അത് ഒഴിവാക്കപ്പെട്ട പാഠഭാഗങ്ങളുണ്ട്. രാഷ്ട്രപിതാ മഹാത്മാഗാന്ധിയുടെ വാദത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം കാര്യമുണ്ട്. പണ്ഡിറ്റ് ജവഹർലാൽ നെഹ്റുവിൻ്റെ ഭരണകാലത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളമുണ്ട്. ഗുജറാത്ത് കലാപം, അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയുള്ള കുറേ വിഷയങ്ങൾ ഒഴിവാക്കപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്.
NCERT took the position that as far as they were concerned, it was about making life easier for the children because many had extra work to catch up on after the COVID pandemic. The problem is, unfortunately, that the deletions seem to follow an unfortunate pattern where certain subjects were favoured for deletion and other matters were retained or even expanded.
जिनका परिवार न सिर्फ वंशवाद कर रहा है बल्कि प्रशासन में सक्रिय हस्तक्षेप करते हुए भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त होने के आरोप से बच नहीं रहा, संभवतः उससे ध्यान बटाने के लिए एक विवादास्पद मुद्दे को ला रहे हैं.
The politics of our education is not new. The left versus right debate is not new. But what children learn in schools should be free from political bias. It should be a narration of history which is not trying to protect either side. Well, joining us on the broadcast, taking the discussion forward, Shilpa Nair, who's the leader of the BJP, Saira Shah Halim, who's a social activist. We also have Henry Austin from the Congress party. Thank you all. Good evening for joining us on the broadcast. Shilpa, first to you, what are the key reasons why these chapters were omitted? The key argument that the left parties in the state of Kerala have highlighted is that this was done with a political intent.
Anusha, first of all, we have to understand that India is a secular country, and what we teach kids also should be starting from there. We should teach the proper history to the kids, but without teaching them hatred. To show India as a secular country, we need to do this. To avoid conflicts in future, we need to do this. And you know very well that we all have studied, in school where we have studied all this history and all matter which is actually so irrelevant, and many things have been hidden also. Like, for example, our victory stories, our king's victory stories, that has not been told in the proper way. Whereas the Mughal Empire has been glorified, the invaders, the British have been glorified. All this has been happening, but not our part of the story in the proper way. And this is what our children should learn.
No, but it's one thing to argue about invaders and Mughals, and I'm pretty clear in my head that when it comes to any kind of history of invasion in our country, it should be taught to the students. And I believe the temperament in this country is mature enough to deal with our history. There should be no whitewashing for either side. But why would one delete a chapter on Mahatma Gandhi's assassination? The straight question to you.
Yeah. See, the thing is that we have not deleted Mahatma Gandhi. We cannot do that. It is part of our India. It is part of our history. He's the father of
soul.
Yes.
Part
of our soul. Here, what has been deleted is, if you read the line, it is Gandhi's pursuit of Hindu-Muslim unity provoked Hindu extremists and organizations like RSS were banned. This is what has been deleted.
But was that, no, I don't in any mean to argue anything about RSS in its present form and what it's doing in modern independent India. But this particular fact, is it factually wrong, incorrect?
No, it is absolutely incorrect, because incorrect in the sense RSS has nothing to do with Mahatma Gandhi's death or murder. RSS has nothing to do with it. And it has been already, the courts have already, agreed to this. Everyone has agreed to this. But it is the political agenda of the other parties to bring it up and say, no, RSS was involved. Godse was RSS. This is what they've been, coming with every time. So this is what has been, because this is like confusing students. If you put this kind of a statement there, it confuses students. Okay, was RSS part of it? It wasn't.
Henry, to what extent this argument you find plausible from the side of the BJP, that these are needless controversies that have been created in history textbooks? Do you buy this argument?
I fully agree, because this is a really unwanted controversy which is being generated by the NCERT. See, we have been learning history. Even I've been a student of CBSE, and we've learned the NCERT textbooks. We have not been colored by any whatever content has been there in NCERT, because it's a comprehensive learning of what has happened. The historical text should not be meddled with for political purposes. This is basically why this controversy has come about now, is because there is a strong argument in favor of the coloring of history. With a certain particular intent. Some events which are uncomfortable to the present dispensation have been filtered out. And some inconvenient truths have been masked by this exercise. That is why the controversy is erupted. Now you must understand that, see, like you just mentioned earlier, Anusha, the death of Gandhiji, the assassination of Gandhiji, you should just go through the lines which have been deleted. It's very revelatory, because Gandhiji was disliked by those who wanted India to become a Hindu nation. His attempts to unite Hindus and Muslims provoked Hindu extremists. Hindu extremists made several attempts to assassinate Gandhi. Gandhiji's death had a magical effect on India's communal situation. Government of India cracked down on organizations that spread communal hatred, and organizations like RSS were banned for some time. All these lines have been expunged from the textbooks now. Now, what is wrong in those statements? Given that context in which Gandhiji's assassination took place, all these were facts. None of this is convoluted or made up. These were the facts, which are the true facts which are there in the point of time.
One second.
Osama bin Laden
let him make the argument. Let him, Shilpaji, let him make the argument. I'll come back to you. Let him, one at a time. Yes. Henry Austin, Congress Party, please. Go ahead, make your argument.
And as far as Godse is concerned, the lines which refer to Godse as a Brahmin, Brahmin from Pune, murdered Gandhiji, and that he was the editor of a Hindu paper which mentioned Gandhiji as an appeaser of Muslims. Those two lines have been deleted. And merely now the reference states that Gandhiji was killed by a young man whose name was Nathura. Even the Godse's surname has been omitted. So this is actually now coloring, this is giving a colored text, colored version of history. I would say that it's a saffron tint to that history. That is why all these provocations happen. Now, as far as Kerala is concerned, Kerala wants the students to learn the full history. We don't want a colored version of it. And the government is well within its rights to actually make amendments to the curriculum proposed by the NCERT. Every state has a right
to make the additions as well. A quick point from Shilpa, then I'll bring in Saira Shah Alim also into the discussions. 30 seconds to you, Shilpa.
Anusha, it's very interesting to hear Henry speak, because, it's like if Osama bin Laden has, done something wrong, or he's a terrorist, do we consider all the Muslim community as terrorists? No. Okay. Now, he talks about appeasement of Muslims is what the reason of Godse. Definitely, what Godse said was true, because Gandhiji used to say that, if Muslims come to the mosque, to the temple, you should allow, but you should not go to their mosque and make any issues, So all these there are many things, but I cannot tell in the short time. There are many things which actually hurt the sentiments of Hindus at that point of time. But Nobody will stand with God say for what he did to Gandhiji. Okay. Now, what he says about Kerala wants to teach the whole history to the students. Okay, let us teach the whole history. Let us teach everything, whatever the communist government has done to Kerala, and why don't you say that? Why don't we talk about Sikh rights? Why don't we talk about Delhi rights? Why don't we talk about partition? India has been partitioned into...
All right, I want to bring in Saira Shah Halim also into the discussion. Saira, much has been said about the history on the side of the left and the right, and both the sides of the political coin have some troublesome aspects of history which they wouldn't want to be documented. But shouldn't our curriculum reflect all or none?
Okay, so good evening, Anusha.
Good evening.
Firstly, it's not so much about the left and the right. Now it's a fight and a tussle between what is right and what is wrong. Clearly, Mahatma Gandhi ji is the most integral part of the freedom struggle of India. And whether the NCERT covers his assassination or not is the various governments of the states, and I need to laud the Kerala government for taking such a bold step for including these chapters that are so relevant and so pertinent for today's times. People need to understand the backdrop of his assassination. People need to understand the organizations that were behind his assassination. People need to understand what it took to win the freedom of the country from the clutches of the British Raj. Now it is very clear, and history has been witness, that RSS did not play any role in the Indian freedom struggle. That is the reason its affiliates, primarily the Bharatiya Janata Party, were very keen to omit chapters that included our freedom fighters. That means, the golden period of Jawaharlal Nehru, whether it was Mahatma Gandhi, whether it was Subhash Chandra Bose, whether it was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Ambedkar, it has been very, very deviously trying to omit chapters to bring in a new narrative to the citizenry and to the students of India. But let me tell you that history cannot be replicated. History has been documented, and it is very clear about who did what. And all the chapters are there in the history books that cannot be tampered with.
Interestingly,
history needs to be looked at in a very pragmatic manner, whether it suits the narrative of the present government or it doesn't suit the narrative.
In a utopian world, yes, but
very objectively.
I agree with you in spirit that it needs to be looked at objectively, but objectively, I rather believe is a vague term, and each side interprets it the way it suits them. Shilpa, it's interesting that at your opening arguments, you said that why would you talk about the aspects of history that create hate? Isn't that the same argument that has been used by certain left liberals and intellectuals that the BJP is staunchly opposed to when it comes to the whitewashing of the crimes that happened in this country during invasions? Invasions by the outsiders, some of them Islamic invaders, and the destruction that happened in this country. The same kind of whitewashing, your opponents argue, the BJP is doing right now because certain portions of the history don't suit your narrative.
Anusha, when I say that children should not be taught hatred, I mean to say that, for example, now they have removed the Gujarat rights. Okay, this is another accusation they are putting on us. Now, what is the Gujarat rights? What do we know about it? Or what do the general public, how it has been given to the public, saying that, okay, it was the BJP government which created Hindu-Muslim fight in Godhra, right? But
But was that written in the NCERT textbook, ma'am? I don't believe so.
Yeah. No, the Gujarat rights has been removed. That is one of the...
But it was created by the government is not something that was written in the textbook. That's my understanding.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. See, this is all political matters. This need not be shown in the... everybody would be saying from their side. But what the court actually said, what did the court actually do? This is what we have to say. Today, the other debater was saying that, this is all BJP created and all. But this is not BJP created. RSS was taken off that name by the court themselves. It is not by anybody else. So what do you mean to say? That are you against the court? You know, again, the Godra incident, it happened right from 1947, 48, 52, 69, 61, 65, 67, 72, 74, 80, 83, 90, 89 and 90. It has happened. And
no, but Shilpa, in that case, if there is something factually wrong, which any state government is adding to their textbooks, in exercise of their powers, that should be objected by the center.
BJP government has not corrected it or said the truth, said that, oh no, you know, it was always the Congress government who created this issue. No, they have deleted it because they don't want to show hatred there. This is what I'm coming at.
Hatred.
You know, they don't want to, you know, use it as a political thing.
All right, I will take the same question to you. Henry, isn't the Congress party the same political party? And when we talk about Islamic invasions in this country, the kind of death and destruction that happened for over 7 centuries, isn't the Congress party the same party that argues that why do you want to dig a grave? Why do you want to bring in old issues? Let's not talk about these issues. They're not relevant in today's day and age. Problematic aspects of the history should not be taught in this manner. And a certain whitewashing of history is something that the Congress party is also accused of.
Anusha, I would not agree to this because, what do we learn from world history? Are we not learning about Hitler and this purge of the anti-Semitic purge that he did during the World War II? Are we not learning about millions being killed in the Russian aftermath of the World War II by Stalin? These historical truths are also being learned by the children. See, you cannot hide history. What is a fact has to be learned by the students. They have to know the wrongs of the past to make it correct today. That is the perspective that we owe to this generation of children. So you can't hide facts. History is whatever is the fact and what we have learned actually influences the coming generation of citizens of this country. So that is very important. So, for example, I would defer with Shilpa Nair when she said that we are trying to do a colored picture of the Gujarat riots. We have not mentioned it. What has been deleted now specifically is a reference from NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, which condemns handling of the violence of the Gujarat riots by the then government. And also the statement by the then PM, Vajpayee, regarding the failure of upholding the Raj Dharma by the CM of the state. Unfortunately, at that point of time is today's Prime Minister. That is what is the expunging of this entire narrative from the textbooks. So there is a...
All right, Henry, I seem to have lost that audio, but I'll give last 30 seconds to Saira Shah Halim for her closing comments. Please go ahead, Saira.
See, I really don't understand why the present government or NCERT or whoever it is trying to omit. Everybody knows about the 1984 riots. Everyone knows what happened in 1947.
Right.
Similarly, 2002 is a very dark chapter in the annals of our history. It cannot be omitted. And we need to understand here, nobody is accusing A, B, C, D. We are simply saying that a riot of that proportion happened in history, and who was the government that was, there?
Well, I agree with you there, Saira, and similarly 1984 and every other communal tension in this country that was reported should be talked about with the same sense of objectivity, and history should not be whitewashed whether it suits the left or the right. I thank you, Shilpa Nair, Saira Shah Halim and Henry Austin for joining us this evening today on Viewpoint. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the show.